So every time we fall into a sin, we're supposed to be doing three things ultimately. Tasbih of Allah, subhanallah, and following it up with acknowledgement. I have wronged myself. I'm the one who oppressed and did wrong. I disobeyed. And then astaghfirullah afterwards. This is the most complete package of istighfar and seeking Allah's forgiveness. Why do we say subhanallah after a sin? Why? Why are they saying subhanallah after the sin? I mean, you and I would have thought after a sin, we say astaghfirullah. What's subhanallah got to do with it? Pay attention, listen, understand. The one who sins against Allah, in one way or another, he is guilty of disrespecting and dishonoring Allah Azza wa Jal. Wala hawla wala quwwata illa billah. Because when you sin against Allah, ya akhi, didn't you know Allah saw you? Didn't you know Allah is hearing you? Didn't you know Allah is the one who provided for you with all these blessings and provision in your life that you are supposed to be grateful for? And you're sinning. That's disrespect. And the greatest word that frees your heart from this disrespect and dishonor is subhanallah. Because subhanallah means I declare Allah free from imperfection. Literally, subhanallah means I disassociate Allah from all flaws and faults and imperfections. That's why when someone says something inappropriate about Allah, for example, the people of the book, when they say Allah has a son, وَالْعِيَاذُ بِاللَّهِ, what are we supposed to say? Immediately, subhanallah. وَقَالُوا اتَّخَذَ اللَّهُ وَلَدًا سُبْحَانَهُ وَقَالُوا اتَّخَذَ الرَّحْمَنُ وَلَدًا سُبْحَانَهُ. You see that? Every time there is disrespect for Allah, there is dishonoring of Allah, any type of this sort here, the way you cure it and distance and clean yourself from it is subhanallah. So these brothers, they committed a sin. Didn't they know Allah Azza wa Jalla is hearing them? Why were they whispering? Didn't they know that Allah hates arrogance and greed and stinginess? Why did they plan to do the sin? Why? That's disrespect. So subhanallah. And they said it. Subhana Rabbina. Inna kunna zalimin. Allah Azza wa Jal, then He says, كَذَلِكَ الْعَذَابِ. That's how Allah's punishment unfolds. You see that? That's exactly how Allah's punishment happens in this worldly life here. And then He said, وَلَا عَذَابُ الْآخِرَةِ أَكْبَرُ. And the punishment of the afterlife is much greater. لَوْ كَانُوا يَعْلَمُونَ. If they only knew. What does that mean? Meaning, if the people knew how intense Allah's punishment is in this dunya and the afterlife, no one would have ever committed a sin and disobedience. And that's why, my brothers, it's very important to read and reflect over this story and the stories of the Qur'an, and to read and reflect over the ayat and the ahadith that describe Allah's punishment and wrath and anger, and the many different types and forms of punishments in the grave and in the afterlife. Why? Because لَوْ كَانُوا يَعْلَمُونَ. If we know, the more we know, the more we're able to hold ourselves back from sin and disobedience. Imagine, look, there's 2 rooms in the back. Imagine in one room I put alcohol and I put women in that room. And in the other room I lit a fire that is very intense. And I said to you, brother, look, come and see this room here. What's in it? And you feel its heat and its intensity. It's Allahu Akbar, this is hot in here. I say, yeah, okay, come. Look, what's in this room here? Tell me there's alcohol and there's women. I say to you, okay, if you enter this room, I'm going to put you straight into this room after you come out. Would you go in? Like here in the dunya, no one will ever go in. Because you know, if I go in there, yes, I'm going to enjoy myself, entertainment, Allah. But then afterwards, it's going to be short-lived. I'm going to be thrown in there. And khalas, I disintegrate, I'm gone. This is just a little silly worldly example, and look what it does. It keeps us away from al-haram. So, you know, Allah's punishment is a lot worse than that room that has a fire in it. So our fear should be from Allah's fire. And so if we reflect over these ayat, and the punishment of Allah, it helps, it aids us keep away from al-haram. And from the haram that we're speaking about is stinginess and greed. Look at the result of stinginess and greed. Did it benefit them? It didn't benefit them, it didn't benefit anyone. Yes, they repented. We don't know afterwards what happened. Did Allah replace them with a better garden? Allahu A'lam. But our thought in Allah Azza wa Jal is good, and maybe they did live a prosperous life afterwards. But Allah didn't tell us further, because the point is not to know the story and keep going. The point is for you to know where the problem was, how Allah punished them. They make their tawbah. If you're stuck in those type of evil qualities, do the same as them. That's the point of the story. Move on. Brothers in Islam, stinginess and greed never got anyone anywhere in life. It's depression, it's anxiety, it's always consistent fears and worries in the heart. It's a weakness of, as we said, tawakkul, trust in Allah's promise. There's no goodness in it. Wherever you go, there's no goodness. If people hate it, if people will begin to hate such a person, where's the goodness in it? What? That I have a few extra thousands in my account? But is that the only goodness in it? But there's a risk that all of that gets burnt and all of it goes away. And above the list, we're speaking about zakatul mal, paying the obligations, and then engaging in sadaqah and continuously giving and being generous for the sake of Allah Azza wa Jal. Look, I give you now another story of generosity. I want you to pay attention to see how generosity eventually gets you somewhere. And this is something recent. It's not a story of a companion or a prophet, so you can say to me, Wallah, these people are big. Well, I'm nowhere near them. No, I'm going to give you a story from the 1974. Who's been to Al-Umrah wal-Hajj here? طيب, mashallah. Who's familiar with Al-Bake's chicken shop? We got Brother Rabi' who's very familiar with the Al-Bake's chicken. Who else is familiar with Al-Bake's chicken? Come on, brother, if you don't know the Al-Bake's chicken, Allahu Akbar, everyone knows about it. MashaAllah, okay. Al-Bake's chicken, it's like the KFC of Saudi Arabia. MashaAllah, Allahu Akbar, the lines at Al-Bake's is just unimaginable. Especially in Hajj, you need to wait like 40 minutes to make an order. And there was a man, his name was Shakur. In 1974, he opened up this business. He called it Al-Bake. In the beginning, he wasn't doing really well. So he was investing in his business and marketing and whatever it is back at that time. And he's just mounting debt upon debt upon debt. But he still believed in his idea and secret recipe for his chicken. And he continued to pump money into this business. Yalla, debt. And wasn't doing too good. He didn't give up. But from when he first opened the business, he made a commitment. For every single meal sold, he will give 1 riyal sadaqah fi sabilillah. Just 1 riyal for every meal. The meal sold back at that time, 11, 12 riyals? Just one, fi sabilillah. From day one. And he did this. The business is in debt. He's still doing that 1 riyal. Business is going more debt. He's still doing 1 riyal. Eventually, in 1976, 2 years later, mashallah, business started to boom. Sales were going up. People are coming from all over the country to Jeddah, which is its first store, and they're coming to try this roasted chicken Al-Bake. Allahu Akbar. Wallah, shortly later, 6 months later, Shakur, the owner of the business, Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un, he passed away at the age of 48. Rahimahullah, he died. Who came to the occasion? His 2 sons, Ihsan and Ramzi. And they were studying in universities. So they left their work, they left their university, they left their study, and they came to work in their father's business. They inherited it. I want you to compare the 2 stories, yeah? That father there was generous. It's up to the children now. They took over the business and they took over a $1.8 million debt. That's big money for 1976. That's massive. And they took over the business and they continued to give 1 riyal sadaqah for every meal sold. Eventually, sales went out. They opened a second branch. They cleared the entire $1.8 million debt. Last year, 2024, their revenue was 82 million American dollars. An Al-Baik chicken shop today, it's valued at 3.2 billion American dollars. And up until this day, 1 riyal donation for every meal sold. This is a legacy of generosity. Allahu Akbar. Imagine you're in a position like that. Like the first thing you think, look, I need to stop the donation, I need to clear the debt. They don't think about donation. No, they remained upon the donation. Look at the prosperity, the goodness, the increase, the abundance that Allah Azza wa Jal gave them in this worldly life. Generosity never gets anyone wrong. Compare the two stories. What we're saying, my brothers in Islam, is that as believers, we have to actively be generous. Yani, I don't mean, and wallah, wait for a fundraiser to be established. Brothers, you want to go to a fundraiser? Wallah, something came by, it's an opportunity. No. That's not good enough. You want to properly be generous? You want that quality that Allah loves, al-karam? You have to actively search for these matters and actively donate in them. You got to look for it, not wait for it to come to you as a text message or a flyer or a story that you see for you to start moving and start thinking about generosity. No. Generosity is a quality of the believers that Allah Azza wa Jal loves. And the most generous of mankind was who? Muhammadun sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Don't we want to be like Rasulullah? Do you love him? We love him sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. We want to be like him. We want to be like him. Look at the amazing generosity of Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. He says in a hadith, Wallahi, you do not truly believe in me if you ate to your full and you slept and your neighbor is hungry while you know he's hungry. Astaghfirullah, we ask Allah Azza wa Jal to forgive us. How many people do we know around the world that are hungry? Yet we slept and we continued to sleep and we carried no care and concern to do anything. And you got to be honest with yourself. Don't say, no, but I am actually caring. No, you know yourself. Where's the care and the concern? That's why I'm telling you actively. Don't wait. Don't wait for someone to invite you to a opportunity of giving sadaqah and feeding the poor and the needy. This is your duty. This is your wajib. And Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam says to Abu Sa'id al-Khudri radiyallahu anhu, he says to him, oh Abu Sa'id, if you were to cook broth at home, soup, then increase the water. Soup, just add more water. وَتَعَاهَ جِيرَانَكَ, and look after your neighbors. Who thinks like that? Only a generous person could think like that. Yani, if you cook, increase the rice. Look after your neighbor. Yani, in our terms, if you earned an income, if you earned a wage at the end of the week, think about your brothers and sisters in Islam and cut out a portion of your wage and give it fi sabilillah. Give it fi sabilillah. So that ta'ahad jiranak, so that you can do this hadith. Every time, so here he's saying, every time you're cooking soup, top it up with water and give your neighbor. Every time your bank account tops up with money, take out some and give it to your brothers and sisters that are in desperate need of it. We're not speaking just like casual need, we're speaking of a desperate need today. Of our brothers and sisters in Gaza and elsewhere, ask Allah Azza wa Jal to free them from the oppression that they're suffering and facing. And Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, once he slaughtered a sheep and he left its shoulder only at home and he gave the rest in charity. Then he came to Aisha, his wife, radiyallahu anha, and said, Ya Aisha, what remains from the sheep? He's testing her to see how well does she understand the concept of generosity. She says, Ya Rasulullah, we gave it all away. Nothing remains except its shoulder. He says, no. All of it remained. And its shoulder is what's gone. What does it mean? Meaning what we gave in sadaqah remained for us in reward. And what we left at home, which is the shoulder we're going to eat, that's gone. That's gone. Because if you eat with no purpose, then there's no reward in that. That's just like neutral. They call it al-mubah, permissible. Like you earn no reward. Obviously, if you eat with purpose and you're eating to strengthen your body upon the worship of Allah, your meal is going to be an opportunity of reward. Of course. The believer should be smart. Every opportunity is a moment of reward. Should utilize and take advantage of it. So that's a beautiful story in the Qur'an, and a beautiful contemporary story that teaches us where generosity and kindness and compassion and openness can lead you and your business. Generosity will bring so much prosperity in your life. Barakah, the pleasure of Allah, the love of Allah Azza wa Jal. You will see it in your family, in your wealth, in your health. You will see it in your life, in your guidance, in your relationship with Allah. You'll see it in your business, in every aspect of life. You will see goodness and prosperity and abundance. SubhanAllah. There is everything encouraging in the Sunnah and in the Qur'an for us to be generous. And there is everything that is discouraging in the Qur'an and Sunnah to be stingy and miserly and greedy and withhold. Lakin, I ask you the question, why are people greedy? Despite now, didn't I give you the stories? Didn't we read the ayat together? Didn't we read the ahadith? How encouraging are they? How motivating are they? Yet despite all this, why are people still greedy and stingy? Why? Why? That's the answer. Lakin the answer from the Qur'an, Allah Azza wa Jalla, He said, الشيطان يعدكم الفقر. Shaitan threatens you all with poverty. You know why people are greedy? Because they fear poverty. They fear going broke. They fear going bankrupt one day. So brother, I have to save. I've got to look after myself. For why? For that rainy day. For that what? For that rainy day. What rainy day? There's no concept in Islam for a rainy day. Hadi, this came from al-kuffar. This came from people that don't know Allah and His Messenger. He saved it for a rainy day. What does that mean? That means be greedy. Look after yourself. Don't worry about anyone. You may have a rainy day later on where you need to tap into your money. That's from the shaitan. That's not from our deen. الشيطان يعدكم الفقر. It is the devil who threatens you all with poverty. That's why people don't pay the debts of each other. That's why people shortchange each other. That's why people steal the wealth of others. That's why people do these crimes related to money, because they all fear poverty. And who made them fear poverty? Ash-shaytan. And in the same ayah, Allah mentioned what He promises. وَاللَّهُ يَعِدُكُمْ مَغْفِرَةً مِّنْهُ وَفَضْلًا. And Allah promises you a complete forgiveness of your sins, and He promises you abundance. If you keep away from greed and stinginess and you practice generosity, Allah promises you forgiveness. Shuf, your generosity is going to forgive you. It's going to purify your wealth, purify your heart, and it's going to increase your blessings in life. Fadla. Allah didn't just say your money is going to increase. He said fadlan, abundance, and He stopped there. Because He didn't limit abundance to a specific thing. Abundance in everything. Your iman will rise. Your tawakkul will rise. That's abundance, yeah? Your wealth will rise. That your health will rise. Prosperity, goodness in your children, in your family. You're going to see it in every aspect of life. يَعِدُكُم مِّنْهُ مَغْفِرَةً مِّنْهُ وَفَضْلًا. Allahu Akbar. So, my brothers in Islam, the action plan for tonight is between you and yourself and your family. Gather your family. If you have a business and you operate a business and you sell goods and products and whatever it is, do like these brothers that took over the business of their father, our bakes. Do like them. And